Each year, the globe's mining industry descends on Cape Town, South Africa for the most important industry event of the year. As an event sponsor, Deloitte attends the Investing in African Mining Indaba, where our delegation interfaces with government ministers, industry leaders and clients. Across 4 days, we discuss, debate and dissect the current state of mining and help plot the future of this vital cog in the engine of the continent's economy. Our annual Tracking the Trends report forms part of this discussion as it focuses on 10 themes that we believe will shape African mining in the near future. If you've never attended the Investing in African Mining Indaba or couldn't make it in 2024, this podcast is for you. Recorded on the first full day, will give you an idea of the energy and ideas that made the event such a success. We'll talk to 5 Deloitte representatives on their impressions of the conference. We'll find out what their expectations are and touch on some of the themes from Tracking the Trends 2024. Our guide is Deloitte Africa's marketing lead, Sue-Ann Badenhorst, and we begin a little after 8 in the morning as the throng of attendees begin to arrive.
Mining Indaba, Monday morning. There are over 8,000 people registered, and it's very clear that all 8,000 are here today in the queues. We've got people from all over the world. Deloitte has a huge delegation. There's over 900 investors here, 700 execs from mining companies around the world, 470 plus executives from junior mining companies, which is also something that is very much up and coming at the moment. People are seeing that it's important to make that shift and not just focus on the big mining companies, but really invest time and energy in the smaller, more niche mines as well. We're right in front of this buzzing CTICC in Cape Town at Investing in African Mining Indaba. We will take a few snippets of the Deloitte delegation that will be present. We'll see what their key takeouts are from the different talks that's happening today, and we will also be hearing what they're excited to hear more of.
The morning rush on day 1 of the Investing in African Mining Indaba is quite a sight. Amongst those queuing for registration and to get through the door, we found a few Deloitte delegates and asked for their thoughts on the event.
Hi, I'm Umeshni Naidu. I'm a director at Deloitte Consulting, and I lead the CIO program at Deloitte. Very excited to be here. It's amazing to see so many people here, and I think it shows that this Indaba is something that really is good for this industry. Expectations is really sitting down and listening to the leaders of the industry, understanding the challenges and issues that they're facing. I'm very keen to sit and interact with CEOs in this industry to really get a feel for where they see technology moving to in the mining space and how they're putting that into their strategies going forward. But I think more than that, seeing how the public and the private sector will come together to resolve those challenges for Africa. Prior to the Indaba, the ministerial symposium took place, and was really excited to be part of the Deloitte leadership team as a knowledge partner. Really sitting down and listening to both the ministers across the countries in the region of Africa, as well as the CEOs coming together across this industry, talking through real challenges that they're facing in the Africa space, but also some amazing opportunities that they're seeing in terms of growth in the industry into the future. We'll hear the President speak this morning, as well as the Minister, listening into what Africa's ambition is the next few years, especially in the critical mineral space, and really understanding where they're looking to move forward in terms of the space.
I'm Corneille Ezel. I'm an Associate Director at Deloitte. I look after complex transformation programs, specifically the digitization of the mining industry. I'm just very excited to be here. What I look most forward to at the Mining Indaba usually is just the amount of energy that we have as an industry, coming together, spending some time together, putting our thoughts out there, learning from each other and having that conversation about the important things in mining. Specifically, at this point in time, some of the important conversations that need to be had is around sustainable transformation of this industry. And I'm looking forward to engaging with various stakeholders that form part of this ecosystem that really have to solve some very important things for the industry. I definitely find that it sets the tone for the year in terms of what you can expect from the industry. It's important to know what the sentiment is of the leaders of this industry and how they perceive the change that we are trying to all make. So yes, it's a very important event for this industry. Everybody's looking for the leaders, for their guidance. And it's usually the starting point of a lot of crucial conversations that then gains momentum throughout the year, all sort of catalyzed by this important event. The mining industry is just a very diverse industry. I come from a technical background, and so I enjoy the complex challenges that has to be solved, and specifically now the change in the last few years around sustainability and sustainable transformation, not just from an environmental perspective, but from a social aspect as well.
Time to head inside, where you get a better sense of the scale of the event, not just from the amount of people that you pass in the hallways, but from the mix of languages and accents you hear. It seems the whole world has arrived at Mining Indaba. One of the highlights each year is the addresses by various dignitaries from across the continent, including the President of South Africa. We had a coffee and a quick chat with Deloitte's Energy and Resource Industrial Sector Leader for Africa, Louis Kruger.
There's a wonderful energy, and you really get a feeling that there's a sense of future anticipation and collaboration between the industry and the governments in order to get the investments that's needed. The President did speak about the things that we expected, so he did specifically touch on energy, rail and transport, as well as corruption and vandalism and theft. And then he also spoke about the just transition and what South Africa can afford and Africa can afford in terms of doing that and the timing around that. The industry is going through a tough time. Commodity prices are lower in general, and with the inflation that's quite high. But I do think as we see the interest rates starting to come down at the end of the year, that hopefully that will resolve some of these issues. But there's always opportunities.
Mining Indaba is a place to connect and network, to share ideas and engage in discussions about the industry. There's a full program of talks across the 3 days, and we're heading to one of the conference rooms where a panel discussion is wrapping up.
Collaboration, and in the discussion we've heard of hubs and corridors.
That's the voice of Ian Sanders, the Global Mining and Metals Sector Lead for Deloitte.
Please thank our panellists for their wonderful wisdom.
What a fabulous start to Mining Indaba today. So this is my 5th year at Mining Indaba, and it's fantastic as always. I think there's more people, so that creates more vibe. I think there's real positive energy, and that energy goes towards bringing strategy to life. And in doing so, organisations, countries are coming together. And it's that togetherness, the regionalisation, the thinking more as one. We can't do it alone, we've got to do it as a collective. And how can we do that? We heard from a number of key dignitaries this morning, Prime Ministers and Presidents. And just now we came out of a session around Africa's mining vision and how that vision translates into reality. And what's really exciting about it, it is really translating. The roadmaps are developed, countries are coming together, bringing strategy into reality and collaborating across different countries. I love that concept of collaboration. We heard regionalisation, we heard corridors, we heard investment. So there's a great story out there and a great narrative that has built over, I would say, the 5 years that I've been in Indaba, in that things are coming together and the continent is actually thinking quite strategically about its place in the world in terms of climate change and energy transition that we need, and that urban population growth that we know that's coming. Tracking the Trends 16th publication, just released, actually dovetails really well into Mining Indaba. A couple of the key takeaways or correlations for me with Tracking the Trends, we've got the trend on exploration. There hasn't been a discussion where we haven't been talking about the minerals that exist and how do we do more exploration to extract them for good use in the future. Secondly, the reskilling. We talk about people are at the heart of mining, and we know that the skills we have today won't be the skills that we need tomorrow. So skills is coming up as very important. And then I think that overall sort of collaboration and connectedness that we bring all those trends together with is actually what we're feeling and understanding and walking away with from Mining Indaba.
So you mentioned that community upliftment is a very important thing and really getting the community involved is crucial. So do you have any views on how that can be done?
I think some of the countries in Africa have really taken that on. They've undertaken geological studies, of course using good technology that's now available, to map out, to inventory and understand the geological base that they've got. So as one of the panellists was saying, that's step one. What do we actually have? And then secondly, depending on where that is, who are the local communities that can benefit? How can we employ those people into mining the minerals and then downstream processing, hopefully, that'll be forthcoming. And it's that whole value chain perspective when you look at not only the local community but the communities around it and the other countries, you get to that regional or regionalisation bubble. That's really interesting for me, how that's going to come together and industrialise much of Africa when you look forward.
Any key takeouts in your session that stood out for you?
I think the takeouts are part of it's passion, desire and action. There's clear action. The continent, countries, government bodies are doing really good things and they're starting to come together with it. It's not quite where it could be. We've got something to aspire to, so there's work still to be done, but a really good roadmap to get there.
Heading out of the Cape Town International Convention Centre on day one of the Indaba, we had the chance to chat to one more delegate and get some of his thoughts on Tracking the Trends 2024. Stuart Nupin looks after the Technical Mining Advisory Team at Deloitte.
The things which I'm most interested in, as Deloitte, we've identified firstly that we anticipate to see a growth in grassroots exploration as a result of the demand for critical minerals, amongst others, on the African continent. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not that plays itself out in the room and whether or not we're actually seeing new projects coming to market, new financiers coming to the market. The other important trend is that we're expecting to see uptick in mergers and acquisitions. What we'd hope to see is projects coming to market, financiers being around, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not what we're expecting to see plays out this year's Indaba.
This episode was just a snapshot of the Investing in African Mining Indaba. There were 3 full days of engagements and discussions that spoke to the challenges, the successes, and the future of mining on the continent. For a deeper dive into the topics covered in Deloitte's Tracking the Trends 2024 report, please download our 2-part podcast, available now.